Okay, good morning. I'd like to call order the September 20th, 2023 Ulster County IDA meeting. It is 9:05. Can we stand with the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll have a roll call. Michael Ham, present. Lynn Archer.
Here.
Dr. Diane Ennion.
Here.
Stephen Kelly. Present. Rashida Tyler is present by phone call. Okay. Rachel Silverman.
Here.
And Costu Wall.
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum. In front of you, you'll have the minutes from the August 16th, 2023 meeting. Please review, and I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
Motion to accept the minutes?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We're going to change some things up, all right? We're on a little bit of a tight schedule here this morning. We need to speak with somebody as a phone conversation. So we're going to go into an executive session before the public comment period, all right, to discuss matters of pending litigation for the Kingstonian. Joe?
Yes, you need a motion.
I need-
Chair, and as the chair indicated, what we're doing is giving a status report. I have my partner on the line. He has a hard stop at 9:30, so we want to get a status report on the latest with respect to the Kingstonian litigation.
Okay, I'll move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Lisa?
already started.
He's already
It's
started.
already started.
Mission statement.
Yes. I heard from.
That's what-
Session.
Oh, no.
I'd like to get a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and let it be known that no action was taken during executive session. In my haste to get Chuck on the phone here for executive session to brief us, I skipped over the mission statement of the Ulster County IDA. The mission of the Ulster County Industrial Development Agency is to advance the job opportunities, general prosperity, and long-term economic vitality of Ulster County residents by targeting tax incentives, bonding, and other assistance to foster creation and the attraction of new businesses and the retention and expansion of existing businesses. So now we'll move to the public comment, agenda items only. No one, Lisa? Anybody? Mr. Erner? We'd like to recognize Mr. Erner, legislator.
Thank you, Chair Hammond. Thank you, IDA, for the opportunity to speak to you this morning. I would like to encourage you, first of all, to consider moving this meeting time. Certainly not just for my benefit, because you are an independent body from the legislature, of course, but for those of the public who might be working people that have 9-to-5 jobs and might have an interest in coming to this sort of meeting, consider holding it in the evening, maybe on a weekend. The second thing is, I see Zinc 8 on the agenda, and I heard some news about the CEO there quitting and some layoffs, and I'd like to know what this body, how this body is interacting with its partners, and whether you have any thoughts about how that project ought to proceed. The next comment I'd like to make is around what I understand was a late addition to your agenda, something about a housing policy. And I understand that you were just in an executive session around the Kingstonian. So I'd just like to speak about housing for a moment and your role in addressing that in our community. So if there is some policy that you're working on in housing, I look forward to hearing about it, and I urge you to ask legislative leadership to present it at the pertinent committees such as Health, Human Services, and Housing, or at the caucuses, or even the full legislature. Let me pause for a moment. So I want to wrap this into I see on your agenda about the Chamber of Commerce and membership in that organization. And there's some departments in the county administration, such as UCAT, that also have recently explored joining the Chamber of Commerce, I understand. But let us not forget that this chamber represents business interests, which at a minimum do not necessarily align with those of the public at large, and often may be hostile to them. So I would say, rather than supporting an organization whose success depends upon private accumulation of wealth, I would urge you to consider what organizational memberships might support the Commonwealth and collective human development. We need to transform what this economy is for. As I see it, the Industrial Development Agency fulfills its obligation to the public by tipping the balance. So please consider your role in light of the urgent needs of the most vulnerable and marginal in Ulster County. The working class, the perennially poor, and increasingly unhoused folks, for example. You can help lead the transition that we need from the bottom up in facing the vast inequities of wealth, both within and among nations and societies, in light of the climate crisis and the end of cheap fossil fuels, which the ruling classes have caused. We have an emergent global ecological proletariat. So here in Ulster County, Exhibit A is what happened during the pandemic. In fact, that's Exhibit A, especially for this whole country, in comparison to how we did in the rest of the world. So I'll just conclude, because we don't need to go over the pandemic details, but as we are emerging from that catastrophe, we still face the other ones which I mentioned, and I urge you to consider that as you conduct your business. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Erner. Thank you very much. Okay, so moving along here, let me get my agenda here together. Okay, Chair's report. Oh, I'm sorry, is there any other public comment? Okay, Bill. Okay, the Chair's report. So recently, after the last meeting in August, I sent an email out to the entire board that we have named Costiwala to the governance chair. He is now the committee of that chair, or the chair of that committee. Diane had some personal reasons, and she had to step down. She remains on the committee. The committee remains intact, okay? They are working towards amending the housing policy, and they're meeting all the time, and this whole board is going to look forward to their findings in the future. Recently, Hillary Nichols, our new executive director, started on September 1st. I'll tell you, in dealing with Hillary, I finally met Hillary, a while back here after she started. But her fresh ideas, her energy, her ability to learn on the fly, I mean, she is getting up to speed tremendously. She's going to definitely be an asset to this entire board, okay? I'd also like to recognize...
Already is.
I would also like to recognize all the great work that our administrator, Lisa Purcell, has been doing, okay? I have tasked her with multiple things at once. I call her with crazy stuff, and everything comes back to me with a result and true professionalism. And I firmly believe, okay, that Hillary and Lisa working in coordination here, this idea is in tremendous hands. Also working together with our great committee chairs and our entire board. Very talented. Everybody has great ideas, and I like being in this boardroom because you want to know something? You may came in with your own personal idea, but guess what? Somebody says something, you go, oh boy, they're right. You know what I mean? So this board has been tremendous that way. Last but not least, and I'm going to touch on something Mr. Erner said. As many of you know, Zinc 8 has released a statement regarding changes to its management and board of directors. At this time, this board continues conversations with Zinc 8 and will keep everyone informed of any future developments. And Joe, I would like to just go off the page here and let Joe make a couple comments on behalf of this.
Sure, thank you, Chair. So at the Chair's request, when he heard about this latest development, he asked me to follow up with the representative and the contact that we have at Zinc 8. I did reach out to them. They did return my call yesterday. They didn't want to go into specifics for obvious reasons, but they did indicate several things. They were very appreciative of the continued efforts of the IDA to put them in a position to move forward. They indicated that there would be additional developments coming to light in the very near future. And most importantly, from our standpoint and from the oversight and administration by the chair and you as the board, is that he is willing to come to the next IDA meeting, the October meeting, to prepare to provide a report on the status of their matter. So we did follow up, and that's my report.
Thank you, Joe.
So as much as we know now, we're going to continue moving forward.
That's correct.
Regardless of the
Until we hear,
organizational changes. Okay.
Joe is in contact with them.
Great.
So
Good.
Joe will keep
Thank you.
everybody up to speed.
So where are we with them? I mean, I know we approved the project, but obviously it's not started, so even before this latest news and changes within the organization. So where were we in our process with them?
Well, we've done all the procedural steps that we need to take, so we're in a position to move forward, but it's up to them to finalize their financing and direct us to do the financing documents that would then put them in a position to actually close on the financing. So we're waiting on them.
Okay, thank you.
It's not uncommon to have businesses have change in personnel. I don't think we should overreact. We should wait and see when they come to us and tell us what it means.
I agree. And once again, like I'll say it again, we'll keep everybody in the loop, okay, as we go down the road here. To wrap up my report, I'd like to, currently I'm still meeting. I'm taking calls from potential applicants, developers, current clients. I am going back and forth with Hillary. I'm going back and forth with Joe, Lisa, calling committee chairs, talking to everybody. My phone is always on, okay? People call me up and go, I don't want to bother you, never bothering me. Just give me a call.
Joe, I'm sorry, I'm looking at Joe and
That's right.
Mike, anything potentially in the queue that is non-housing related that we might be seeing in the?
You know, I
Yeah.
got to tell you something. I'm going to let Hillary talk about that. And Hillary, you know, she's taking a call from. Did you get the manufacturer one? Did I get it, Lisa?
I didn't get a manufacturer.
Oh, I got a call from one manufacturer guy. I'm sorry. I thought it was you guys. You got the solar, yeah. And you know, we're talking it through just like we always will.
Yeah.
We like to hear what they want to do, and what they're about, and whether or not it fits them. I bounce it off of Joe. We'll bring him in. We'll put if it starts meriting, we'll bring in a pre-screen on it again. We'll put people on it, but I'll be honest with you.
Curiosity if we're getting things other than
A
housing.
good amount of
coming
them
in,
are mixed
or at least
use.
inquiries.
Mixed use on housing. Okay.
Thank you.
So that's my report. Okay, and we'll move on here through the agenda, and we'll go to the executive director's report.
All right, let me just,
Feed my meter. There was no room in the lot.
sorry, I'm just gonna, I didn't have a printer. Sorry, Lisa, I should have asked you to print it out, but that was on me. Okay. So just a quick report. Hopefully, you know, as I get more involved, I'll have more to report on, but I just wanted to start by saying that, you know, joining the IDA on September 1st, I've been getting familiar with all the policies, working with Joe. He's given me the required training. I'm also attending the other required training by the ABO, the Authority's Budget Office, on 9/27, so I'm hoping to continue to get up to speed. In addition, I believe there's an IDA, they call it kind of like a boot camp, that they offer twice a year. The next one is in November, and I will be hopefully attending that as well. And, you know, once I kind of get my feet a little bit more on firm ground, you know, help you guys as a board bring things to you, as well as an understanding of what kind of the IDA is all about. Moving on to projects, just kind of echoing what the chair said, there's been several requests from businesses. Most of this is in kind of the pre-screening, reaching out, setting up initial meeting stage, and we really look forward in the coming months as those applications come in, bringing that fully to the board. Moving forward, we also, Lisa and I have been discussing kind of just getting on the same page, talking about the Paris report, which I don't know much about, but, you know, I'm aware that it's compiling a lot of data and making sure that our timeframes are in line with that, so no deadlines get missed, and that you as a board have everything you need to kind of do the different parts of the Paris report as well. And then moving on, you know, we're going to talk a little more, I think, as it's an agenda item, but I just wanted to quickly touch on joining the Ulster County Chamber of Commerce. You know, there are several reasons I think we're looking to have us join that. One is the Ulster County Chamber of Commerce is a great mix of both non-for-profit and for-profit businesses. So I think it aligns with kind of what the IDA does in terms of our mission to support workforce, as well as looking for opportunities to bring business, let businesses expand, and, you know, kind of keep roots here in Ulster County. So us being visible to the business and not-for-profit communities is a great opportunity, as well as ensuring that projects or businesses that maybe the IDA have supported historically, if they're, you know, doing a ribbon cutting, having an event, you know, we can be there as members of the community, kind of just showing the support of projects that have been put in place by the IDA or have been supported by the IDA. And then lastly, I really want to say thank you to the chair and to CASA, the chair of governance, who've been taking me around to meet all of our county partners. And so I've gotten to meet our comptroller, our executive, county executive, Jen Metzger, and we've also gotten to meet with Kevin Lynch, who is the new Director of Economic Development here in Ulster County, and we're really looking forward to having a great working partnership with our economic development to ensure that the county's mission for economic development is aligned with the work that we're doing. So any questions or thoughts?
Thank you, Hillary. Very nice. Okay.
Nice report.
So we'll go to the financial report. We do have Matt from BST here. Matt, come on down, Matt. Give us a little snapshot of what's going on. So is everybody met, Matt? Okay,
We met this morning.
okay.
All right, so for the IDA, our first report is statement of financial position. As of August 31st, we had total assets of $1,224,345. $820,636 of that was in cash, mix of restricted and unrestricted funds. We had total liabilities of $26,386, which left us with a fund balance of $1,197,959. Next report is the statement of activity for August for the IDA. For our month of August, we had a deficit of $7,598. There were no significant sources of income for the month of August, and the largest expenses were the professional service contracts, which are mainly myself, BST, and Norman Staffing.
And our legal counsel.
Right. The third report we'll go over is the statement of financial position for the CRC. We had total assets of $452,355, with $450,355 of that in cash. We had liabilities of $4,853, which left us with a fund balance of $447,501. Final report I'll go over is the statement of activity for the CRC. For the month of August, we had a surplus of $107.33. All of that was from interest from the bank accounts, and there were no expenses for the month of August for the CRC.
I have a question on our cash, how is that invested? Do we have that invested in, or is it just sitting in bank accounts?
Some of it is sitting in bank accounts. Some of it, I believe, is in a money market. We don't currently have any CDs or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, we do.
We do? Oh, we do have
I
a CD.
thought we
Yeah, that's
did.
right.
We have two CDs.
Two, yep.
Okay.
That's our bad. We just transferred that money in. Rachel's going to report on that in her,
Okay.
her report.
My apologies.
That it, Matt?
Yep.
Any questions? Any questions on financials? Steve?
All right, thank you. I'm reporting on the Loki report. We had, they surveyed Innis and AFIA, and AFIA was down in overall compliance. It looks like it was down to 65% in this. Well, actually, it was 68% in August, and it was 65% the month before. I don't know, is that,
That's not good.
it seems like that's kind of low.
It is low.
So, I mean, Innis is at 83% pretty consistently. And I'm not sure what we should do, but maybe we should have Hillary write them a letter wondering what they're doing to bring that compliance up.
Right, and just point of information, there's been some back and forth between me and Lisa on those percentages for the AFIA project. I've gone back to look at the documents to see what they're required to do, and I'll follow up on that this week.
Okay.
To make sure that they are within. I believe the compliance number is 75%, and I think the confusion on my part, and Lisa's sent me significant information on it, is just double checking as to where we are overall. I mean, they may be moving up and down on a monthly basis.
Right.
But where are they overall, and whether they're above the 75 or below the 75? And I'll be back to you all on that.
Is that on an annual basis that they have to be at an average?
Yes.
Yes.
So we're 8 months in, so if they're below average, then they need to have the curve go up to get to that.
Right.
And that's
And they
what I'll
need to
do.
know what it
I'll
is.
follow up with them on that.
And they've been consistently low. A few.
That's my report.
Thank you, Steve.
So May I?
Sure.
We have-
Questions,
we-
comments?
Well, we have the monthly, which they look fine on the monthly basis, but I didn't see an aggregate for, for the total time on project where they're at. Could we maybe add that?
Yeah, we
as a
could compile
part?
that data, sure.
Just so that we can, to your point, stay
Yeah.
current of where they are falling overall during the project period.
That way we can give them some
Track
guidance if it's,
Exactly, exactly.
take some corrective action.
Okay.
Thank you, Lynn. Any other questions? Okay, we'll go over to finance. Rach?
Thank you, Chair. Despite my thunder being stolen on this news, we have moved 2 CDs.
That's great.
As previously discussed. We keep our money in 2 CDs, one for UCCRC and one for UCIDA. Each is about $200,000. And they are now no longer at Rhinebeck Bank. They are at M&T Bank and moved from earning 1% to 4.5%. And they're 15-month CDs. Oh, they're 12-month. Oh, we did 12-month CDs, right.
Okay.
Because the rate was the same.
Ah,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of
The yield
strange,
was
right?
different.
Yeah.
They're looking at.
Well, the yield would be
looking at
different.
That the interest rates are going to fall in the future. If you look at longer-term rates are lower than
Mhm.
short-term rates.
Inverted.
We had a
All right, Rachel, thank you.
Yep.
And over to governance, Costu?
Thank you, Chair. This will be quick. We, as Governance Committee, have met twice since the last meeting, and the primary discussion was around housing policy, that is, for the IDA. And I should clarify at this point, we don't have an agenda topic for housing for this meeting, for today, and just wanted to make that statement. We have met with county executive, we have met with director of planning, we have also met with the county comptroller. We were hoping to have everybody at the table at one of the meetings, but timing did not permit. And we are working currently on a draft of the guidelines and criteria for both the policy, mainly the UTEP, and currently it's in a draft form. It has been shared with the governance committee and the board, but it's still subject to legal review, so we can discuss it, but it's not on the agenda yet. Anything that we can
Yeah.
add from
Yeah.
the governance committee, please?
Yeah, I think the important thing is we started to put a framework together, which I think is going to be helpful, but obviously the governance committee still has
Correct.
a lot of work to do with regards to discussing all of the points, what we want to include, how we want to position it before we bring it to the board for full discussion and approval. So there's still, there is a lot of work to do. I think we've gotten some good feedback from some of our partners. One partner, I think that, and I think it was just mentioned today, we really should have legislative, whether where housing sits or the chair of the body, just to give their input so that we really have all of our partners' input as we're going through this, because I think that could be really helpful. So we still have more. While we have a general framework, I think we still have a lot of work to do to get a policy in place for this board's review.
Yes, that's why I mentioned it's a draft. Thank you, Lynn. This is not in any way complete just yet. These are guideposts. We have had a lot of discussions. One of the suggestions, similar to the public comment we had, we would like to speak with housing as well, that the committee and the board, I believe, meets at the same time as the IDA. So we have not had that discussion just yet. And perhaps other community members as well. But we're open to suggestions. Nothing is final yet, and we'll be working on it pretty quickly.
So,
Costu, if I may,
please,
I just
go
want to
ahead.
clarify that the executive, our executive director of the county was not actually at our meeting, a representative from there. I just wanted to clarify.
Yes,
Yeah.
so at the meeting, we only had Kevin Lynch, who's the director or executive director of UCIDA. Executive for the county was not able to join. And that's my report.
But she was represented.
She was represented by, yeah, she was represented.
so the
She wasn't
question
present, yeah.
I'll put forth to the committee then would be, we have a sunset date on that. Where are you guys going to be at?
I think we're
We-
getting, I mean, go ahead, I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead,
Chair.
no.
No, I think,
Because it's the end of this month.
for the moratorium.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I mean,
Okay.
some
So
nice
I-
framework
just-
put together
Just
here.
throwing it out
but-
there. You guys are doing great work. I know it.
It's a lot.
Everybody, it's
Yeah.
been looping me in, so.
But I think where we are is really focusing on the UTEP and getting the criteria for a separate one for housing, and then from that crafting our general policy with input from council. We just make sure we're within the parameters of the IDA and what we can do.
Right, while making sure that it's aligned with the IDA policy, but also the community needs from the elected officials, so.
And I agree with every one of you, as I spoke to you individually. You know what? I know what you guys are doing. I was on governance too. You want to get it right, and we don't want to have to repeat anything. So, that being said, great job. You guys are doing great work. Thanks.
Thank you.
I just have one quick question, and I was thinking about, how we're formulating the housing policy. And after we do come to some agreement and we're able to get Joe's perspective and a legal perspective on it, before we adopt it, I do think that we should be able to hear from the public or put it out for public comment. Just because, it's been us in the room, but I really want to know if we're missing anything or if we're not, in line with some of the other jurisdictions that are out there. It might be nice to get some feedback from people.
No, that's a great point you're making right there, and, yeah, I would say, you're involved in this process as it's moving on also, Rashida, so, I think you guys could get together and collectively entertain that, or put it into your timeline if it, if it fits. That's the problem, is getting it to fit. How do you, you guys just have to come about a formula in order to get the feedback. I will tell you from experience, several years ago, we tasked the CEO with sending out feedback to all the taxing jurisdictions, town supervisors, everyone, and the county's a big county, and we got 4 back. 4. So, it is. It's a great idea, and I would love to see it work. So I think you guys get together on that and see if you guys can make that happen. That would be great. Thanks, Rashida.
If I may, I have a technical question. The moratorium runs out at the end of the month. I mean, what do we do when that runs out? Are we going to operate under our existing policy? We may have, an application,
Extend.
there's been some talk
Don't-
about,
Yeah, can we extend the moratorium?
well, you can extend the moratorium. And with respect to, and I'll make one other point, about the outreach, I mean, in the past, when you've adopted and considered amendments to, for instance, your UTEP, you've held a public hearing.
Yeah.
So that's certainly something you can do, and we've actually gone so far, and IDA staff was not exactly happy about it. We actually sent a copy of, well, it was an administrative burden. We actually sent a copy of the policy to every town, village, and school district, along with the county, in the county.
For comment.
With the policy, a red line from where, what it was, a memo explaining it, and then an invitation to come, to the public hearing. So you can have a fairly involved public process if that's what the board wants to do.
So is that, just for a timeline, just to understand, is that before or after it gets approved at this body, that you start a process? Because if we're really going to try and have that level of engagement, I think we need to have, when we would have a final draft that the governance committee has all agreed to be presented to the board here, what happens when? Can some of it be simultaneous? I don't know. I'm looking, I think if we're going to do this, we should plan out a timeline and have a
Logistically,
schedule. Because I think we're close to having something for the next meeting, but I think that we should be thinking through, when do you hold a public hearing? When do you get feedback? Do you get feedback before it's approved here? Do you get feedback before? I'm just trying to gauge all that, because I do think if we're going to do this the right way, we want to have it all planned out.
Yeah, reading periods and
Yeah.
everything.
I mean,
Yeah, I think it would make sense that the rest of the members of the committee here, of the board, would know what you're proposing before we put it out to everybody else.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And your other thing is now, and Joe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, you got a timeline coming in, hypothetical situation. You put something and you present it to the board in October, okay? Now you go to a public hearing, so what do we have on the timeline on the public hearing? And then you have comment review, so that's another 30 days, okay, after the public hearing. So now you're pushing the envelope in. This doesn't come into play or anything with the housing until January,
December, January.
I would say, yeah.
So Joe, I'm assuming the governance committee has to agree on what we're presenting to the total board. We present it to the board approves, and then it goes to public hearing.
Yeah,
Or
Well,
public comment, I should say.
public comment,
Yeah,
correct.
thanks.
I would think, and
Okay.
it all depends on where you want the public to weigh in. Do you want the public to
Well,
weigh
that's
in?
the- that's
That's
the
where
That's why
the
we're
question
asking.
is, yeah.
And that's your, there's nothing in the statute that says.
That says you need a public
You
hearing.
need a public hearing, you need to hold the public hearing before
It-
you adopt your policy.
And thank you,
But
Joe,
that-
for,
that gets back to that issue that we were talking about in executive session.
So could we, in our board meeting, when the governance committee presents to the board for approval, we approve it with the motion approved, and then we will
Yeah.
gather public comment and come back and take one more look and reapprove? Can we do that as our
Approval will be
process?
subject to-
and
Yeah.
Diane, you remember in the past,
Yeah, okay.
in governance, we went through every single policy and amended every policy, and we brought it just to this board. We never went to a public hearing. We approved it in governance and brought it to the full board's approval. And that's how it worked, because, okay, I'm just saying, if you want to bring it to a public meeting, that's fine, but it just adds another 30 days to your timeline.
Some of our policies, I don't think the public would have given too much consideration.
No, it was just, there was language change. You guys got a lot going on here, but,
Yeah.
you know what? You also have option B here, which, it's, once again, we've talked about this, living, breathing document.
Yeah.
And lift the moratorium and then work your best case scenario or your new findings into that and then come back to the board. And then there's option C, okay? Option C is you come back with something. The moratorium, which we all know is, we've been basing it off a 3-month on a quarterly. It can be lifted at any time in between that 3-month span, so.
Yeah, I still feel confident that we can come up with a plan, that we should not put out a prior policy when we know it's going to change. I think our discussions have led us down a path to say, that's not gonna work. So, there are elements of it that are important to be included as we go forward, but overall, it just doesn't work. So why kind of create more confusion by putting out the old policy, lifting the moratorium, then start to make changes? I think that's going to be harder. And I think we're better off coming to the table with a plan that we can then say, as we implement, if we see issues, we will make adjustments. Because I think that will carry more weight.
Yeah. Once again, it's your purview.
Yeah.
So,
You guys are going to put it together.
so one way of looking at it, and this is what the state does in their rulemaking, is they come up with what their proposed regulation is. They propose that. There's usually a 30-day comment period, and then they consider the comments, and they may incorporate some of them or not. And I think we could do that here, where the governance committee comes with a proposal, we hash it out and decide what we agree to, and that becomes a proposed new policy. We have a public hearing, and we ask for public comment that could be written as well. And then we have a meeting where we discuss that. And if we want to make changes based on that, we certainly, we could. And then whatever we make at the end of that becomes final for, till we change it again. But that process would mean that there would be a process of us and also incorporating public comment.
And so that by potentially November then, under that scenario, we may be close to having a policy for final vote and
Yes.
lifting the moratorium, not January.
Yeah, we might be able to do it quicker, right?
Excuse me, so does that mean if it's, we're not going to be meeting as a board before our moratorium expires, do we need to vote today to extend that then till December, and then if we get done sooner, we can lift it in November if we're ready?
Yeah,
I
you
think
know
we're
what?
gonna have to
Right-
do that today.
Right now, I've been acting right now, and I don't know, Joe can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm acting on an evergreen clause, basically. You know, it automatically continues, it grows. Joe, no, yes?
I
or-
think we've,
I would like something a little more.
Okay, we should vote on it.
With all due respect.
Evergreens are beautiful, but I think
With all
we
due
should.
respect to the chair, I do that with some hesitation, but I would say that we should have a resolution extending it to the end of
Okay.
December, and that way we have that in the record, so it's frankly even clear for me that I don't miss it.
I thought currently we had a resolution stating that every 3 months it would,
You might be correct, but I.
okay. Hey,
Can we have a
Would you like a
resolution?
That's the dime
would you like a
store lawyer in
motion
me.
Yes,
to
please.
Okay.
extend the moratorium for
Yes.
3 months? I make a motion to extend the moratorium for 3 months.
Second,
all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Joe, draft something. Okay.
What about the process? Is that, I mean, we ought to agree on what our process is gonna be now, so that when you come forward, we know what we're going to do.
Right, so we
I
know.
think
I think we
know
just
when
did that.
I think we
public-
just did that.
Right.
Just
Yeah,
did that.
We don't need to memorialize it. I think we said we'll have a plan
Plan,
for
yeah.
next meeting for discussion. It'll go out to the public for feedback, and by November, we should have feedback and any changes we want to consider.
We'll bring back to the board.
We'll be back
Right,
to the board.
so we're
Proposal.
making
I
sure that
think-
we're considering public comments in this
Absolutely.
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a big change, and
Okay.
That's a good process.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Old business, status of pending projects. Joe?
I've got my report there in page 10, I have my report there on page 10 of the materials. The only change was the notification I got from Zinc that the proposed closing date has been pushed to the first quarter of 2024. And as I indicated earlier, based on the direction of the chair and his review of the status of that matter and his request for me to follow up, we'll have a representative from Zinc 8 at the meeting next month to give further information about that. And that's all I have to say on the project status. Thank you.
So enforcement matters, Joe?
Nothing to report. Sorry, nothing to report. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Joe. Okay, new business. So, with Hillary coming on board, I did speak to Hillary, and I firmly believe that every tool you have available in your toolbox, you should use. So with that, you know, I know this board has never been a part of the Chamber of Commerce before, but I thought it would be a great networking tool for, once again, as the executive director reported in her report, you know, nonprofit and profit together in the same room. I think there's a lot of good access to people through there. So I mentioned to Hillary about us partnering up with the Chamber of Commerce. And, you know, if something doesn't work out, you know, we can go a different direction. But I think every opportunity that's available to us right now for our executive director, we should take a look at it. And nothing should be, you know, off the page, you
And
know,
this is
so.
$65 a year, is that how I'm reading it?
Preferred,
No, I think
discounted.
it's,
Is normal $9.99?
no,
Yeah.
it's 65 additional.
Additional,
It's
yeah.
415 for the year.
How much is
It's
it?
415. 415, I
Oh,
believe.
15.
That's for the basic, and then this is the preferred. They give you this for an additional. I know. So, and you know, I believe as board members, you would be able to attend events. They do a lot of like breakfasts, so there'd be opportunities to meet. Like I think this month they're doing the DAs who are running. So, and then there's networking events, ribbon cutting opportunities. I think will help also if there are ever things that we miss. with projects.
I think the idea, I think that's a good idea to join the chamber. You know, we belong to the chamber, the hospital does, we're a not-for-profit. I think most of the larger not-for-profits belong, and it's also a good way for us to network with businesses that may be expanding, so, both not-for-profit and for-profit.
Any other questions, comments?
I would also say that the chamber has a leadership development institute that I think we should sponsor Hillary to go through. I think it starts in September. She may be a meeting or two behind, but I think that's a really good opportunity to learn or to get to meet a lot of the leaders in Ulster County. They have a pretty robust, it's a 9-month program. It's like an academic year. And having been through it myself a long time ago, admittedly, but occasionally they ask me to come and speak to it. So it's a good program. It's about 20 people that are in it, and they're sponsored, and I think it's around $1,000 or something. It's not terribly expensive, but I think that we should sponsor her to be part of that.
I would echo those remarks. I think the opportunity for the IDA to join is great. I think the things we've talked about, the networking, the development, the outreach, not just being able to deliver.
Across the street. So there's two Walter E. Washington centers. So where you drop me off at is like the main receiving area, which is good.
Rashida,
There's a check
you're-
area right across the street.
Rashida, you're not on mute.
You can probably mute her.
I love you. I can't really hear you very well, so I think it's because you're, it's on.
We'll meet you for coffee. How's that?
You could probably, if you hit mute, that might mute her.
I just, well, no, I put the speaker off. so-
Okay, can I get a motion to join the,
Are we doing basic or preferred?
Basic,
oh, yeah, but,
It looked quickly like the preferred was a little more technical than we needed
Mhm.
right now. Maybe that's something to consider down the road.
okay, yeah, give it a trial and let's see what happens, right? Start at the basic and go
Unless
from
we
there.
wanna jump to the YouTube
Okay.
video, which.
Yeah, you can do that.
Jess?
Yeah.
You can do the YouTube videos.
And I would add on to that sponsorship to have our executive go through that Ulster Leadership Development Institute.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably a good thing, but I think timing-wise, if it's already started, maybe we consider it the next go-around, only to give Hillary a chance to focus on coming up to speed. We've got the Paris report coming up and a number of things, so
It's
Maybe
it's
next
for
year?
a couple of hours every other week. It isn't
that-
like this is a major commitment.
it's not.
But it
Maybe,
allows her to get to meet a lot of leaders in
I
Ulster
defer to
County.
Hillary
Right,
then.
maybe
She's
Hillary
the one
could-
that's
could
gotta
love her.
decide.
Why don't I,
timing.
once we become members, find out the information
Yeah.
on whether it's even possible? You know, to start, I don't know.
Well, you may have an in here.
Oh, okay.
He's the speaker, guest speaker.
Can we-
He's
can
the-
we
he's the
approve
Yeah,
guest
yeah.
speaker for
I'm
the
just,
program.
I'm
To
one
the
of
point.
probably 30. It's not like,
no, I think it's
They
a
don't
good
get
idea.
asked every year.
What if we approve it,
Yeah,
you know,
and then when the time
conditional
is
on
right.
Hillary
Okay.
Timing,
deciding if it works
deciding
now?
the timing, that's
Yeah.
probably the best.
Here, I make a motion that we become members of the Ulster County Regional Chamber of Commerce, a basic membership, and that we approve Hillary doing the training with the chamber once she finds out more information, just in regard to the timing of it.
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That leads us to the New York State Economic Development Committee training event. Hillary, can you bring me up to speed, bring us up to speed where it's going to be? So
Sure.
before
Oh,
I
sorry.
go over to you, just so we know, I want to be transparent, and I think we should put it to a full vote on that. Also, you know, just let the board know, but in our travel policy, we do have the right to approve Hillary for travel per diem, okay, hotel, lodging, meals, so on and so forth. But I think it's a good practice to put it out to the entire board so everybody knows and we all have a say in it, okay? So with that, Hillary?
Okay, so, Joe kind of has been giving me a lot of guidance, and one of the things is introducing me to the New York State Economic Development Council, and they do an IDA boot camp twice a year. The next one is in November outside of like Thousand Islands region. It's very remote, kind of Watertown-ish. I believe when I spoke with Joe, we are members of the New York State Economic Development Council, so we would get the membership rate. It's $125. It's a one-day event. I do have a brother that lives an hour and a half, so you know if costs are prohibitive, I would love to see my niece and nephew anyway, so I can
Okay.
always stop in there.
Look at that, saving everybody money already. Okay. So can I get a motion to approve Hillary to go?
So moved.
So second.
Okay, thank you. Last but not least, it's really not on here under new business, but I just want to
We all
inform.
approve.
We need to,
We all approve.
Huh?
we
have
all
to
approve. You didn't ask,
You
call the
gotta
Oh,
question.
You
I'm
have to
sorry.
approve, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yes, but we all approve.
Yeah,
We
thank
all.
you. Thank you, I'm sorry. Last but not least here, I just want to put the board, and Lynn, I have to speak to you on this too, because I think you might be the one to discover this. Currently, we're looking for some temporary solutions here for an office space. Okay, even if we went into several different locations, build to suit is going to take 3-4 months, maybe 5. Currently, Lisa and Hillary are doing their best working remotely, but they do need to align every now and then. It would be also nice to find a little place where we have room for the public, a little room for the public, plus this board meetings. I was going to touch base with you and see if you could discover something like that within, I'll give you.
Ulster County?
Do you have a budget?
Kings-
Yeah, you know what, I'll talk to you about the budget, okay? So, yeah, because it's, short-term leasing on stuff like that, they drive the square footage price through the roof.
Is there any hoteling kind of spaces
is.
here?
Co-working
There is.
space.
Yeah.
You-
Yeah,
you-
So that might be something.
Were you, I don't know if you were on the board when we used to do SUNY Ulster, remember? Up
No.
at Sophie, we had that, but, it was still a little chaotic. But, Hillary was exploring an option over here at,
I went and looked at the co-work Kingston. I think in terms of conference room space, it's very small. They did say they have the Senate garage though, which they weren't able to show it to me, which is, I believe, huge.
It is.
So, I think that would be something I could.
They couldn't show it to you.
Well, the lady had a doctor's office appointments, and then
Was that the one here?
the one right on the right next
Right-
to the Senate
right
House.
Stockade.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stockade. But again,
Because there's one here too.
and then there's
across the
another
street.
one, but I didn't know that was there till I was Googling, and then
Yeah.
it brought me to both.
There's
so.
there's also one, where did I see it? On Ulster, maybe?
On Ulster Ave?
I'll have to think. I've seen a couple of them
Yeah.
lately open up, and I thought, oh, interesting.
I think it's, exploring it. The nice thing is that you don't need to purchase furniture, equipment, everything comes, and you just kind of use the space. It was very quiet.
That sounds really good.
there. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
We can do it on a temporary basis?
I think you'd have to see it. In my mind, I thought it was amazing, and then I saw it and was kind of like, I don't know.
So I think if for a short-term fix, before we commit to long-term and an investment of furniture, et cetera,
Yeah.
it's probably best to look at these co-ops
Yeah.
for office space and maybe do that on a short term. And
Yeah.
then figure out what our long-term investment would be. Because even going out in a rental, you're gonna have to get furniture.
Right.
Even if you don't get it, you can rent it. It's gonna be costly.
Yeah,
So I
it's-
think if you
it's
look
gonna
at the
be costly.
co-ops for now as short-term, can we not meet here anymore? Is that?
no,
oh,
we can
okay.
meet here, absolutely.
I think that's
Okay,
more the
so
office
I'm
for.
looking
I think
for them.
you guys, office
Yeah.
space,
Yeah.
let's continue our meetings here.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And then maybe do
Yeah,
a
we're looking for
space.
them to
Yeah.
be able to work in
Yes,
an
I get
environment
it.
where they
I
can.
get
The
it.
co-op
Yeah.
space that I looked at the Senate garage, it's very open. Like, you're just kind of sitting. So to me,
want
that
office.
doesn't seem really any different from Lisa and I working from home,
Right.
because you're just kind of open. There's couches, like, so I think it's something to consider. They did have private offices that you can rent on a monthly basis. Again, the one lady had to go to a doctor's appointment, so the other woman ended up showing me around, and she seemed to think that they were rented out or people were using them, so I didn't get to look inside. But I think like a private office in a co-working space
Is
would
the
be
best.
ideal
Yeah.
versus plopping on a couch.
Yeah,
Because
I
we can
agree.
do that
Well,
in the
and
library.
And what you guys are gonna be having private conversations.
Yeah.
You don't
That's
want
right.
the general
Correct.
public
Exactly.
listening in.
Um,
Right.
But you're right, Lynn, they could have, we could just get an office space to house Hillary and Lisa and still come here
Yeah.
every month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
And I
makes
was-
it, actually, it makes it better for,
probably
everybody in
You
Ulster County,
get
so.
conference room use, like included in the membership, but the one only fit 4 people. I mean, you could have brought 2 more chairs in there. And the other one they were using, but she let me kind of peek in, and she said you could probably fit about 8.
Look at Bill, you're in, you're a gold member. You're automatically in if there's only places for 4, all right?
I was just doing a quick Google search. I think there are 3 co-working spaces near somewhere
okay.
here, so we can
Okay,
explore that.
so
Yeah.
I'll talk to you about that, Lynn, okay? Thanks.
And another benefit to the co-working space, I don't know if you've worked in them before, is
No.
there's networking
That's
that
right.
takes
That's
place
place,
in
yes.
and through these co-working spaces,
Along with
so.
the PO box.
Also
Yeah.
true.
I mean,
Okay.
they were very cool.
You wanna make sure the workspace is.
That's right.
It just was like, there's all these like phone booths people sit in, and
Oh,
they're like
right.
clear, and so they're like on the phone in these like clear little boxes.
That sounds better in theory than in.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Okay, can I get a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Adjourn. So
Second.
moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. We'll get Okay, can I call to order the September 20th, 2023 UCCRC meeting? I'm going to do a quick roll call. Michael Ham, present. Lynn Archer.
Present.
Dr. Diane Ennion.
Here.
Stephen Kelly.
Here.
Rashida Tyler is present by phone.
Not
No,
anymore.
she is not. Okay. She's absent with notice. Rachel Silverman
Here.
and Costawell.
Here.
Thank you. So in front of you, you'll have the minutes from the August 16, 2023 UCCRC. Could you please review them, and I'll accept a motion to accept.
Motion to accept the minutes from our August 16th meeting?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Public comment, agenda items only? Nothing? No one from the public here? No? Okay. Executive session, I don't see any reason for executive session, so we'll keep moving. The chair's report, let the record show that my report I've given in the UCIDA reflect this report, okay? Executive director's report.
Let the record show that the report from the UCIDA is the same for the UCCRC.
Financials, Matt.
All right, just rehash what I said about the CRC in the last meeting. Sorry, Lisa told me and yelled at me for going ahead of myself here.
Lisa yelled at you? Lisa can yell.
You were yelling at.
So as of August 31st, we had assets of $452,355. $450,355 of that was cash. We had total liabilities of $4,853, which left us with a fund balance of $447,501. On the statement of activity, for the month of August, we had a surplus of $107.33. All of that was from interest income from bank account, CDs, and the savings account, and there were no expenses for the month of August.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. Committee report?
Day off, Matt.
Committee reports, audit?
There's no report.
Thank you, Steve. Finance?
Finance, as mentioned earlier, the CD that the CRC held at Rhinebeck Bank is now at M&T Bank, earning a 4.5% rate.
Thank you, Rachel. Governance?
No incremental comments since the UCIDA meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Costu. Old business. Is there any old business? Is there any new business? Is there any new business? Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.